Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Leading Crypto. I'm your host, CVO Crypto, this morning for this Ethereum analysis on a lovely TA Tuesday. I'm just going to kind of pick up where we had left off from yesterday's video. If you haven't watched that, be sure to give it a view. Always nice to hear your own voice right away. Sorry about that. All right, yeah, so we were looking for a couple things out of Ethereum yesterday. Daily open, just want to point this out for today, is like $2 difference than yesterday. So we really been ranging pretty hard in this region right here. I've got the November high marked out. Once again, we did technically take this on Bybit at least by $4. So I still am looking for a bit of more of a push into this region and to see if we get a rejection or if we do see some continuation towards in the title there. The reason I'm looking at a potential 2K, granted, I do think a pullback is necessary here, but we'll be looking for that as it comes, is, right, we've got our yearly pivot up here, right? So it does come in really nicely along, the idea of taking all the highs. If we do get up to that region, then we got some pit stops along the way. Once again, looking at, the old range that we've been in, where you can actually see that we actually back tested the point of control here, right? So we had essentially left that technically a little naked in the short term there. Did get back tested in that region. We also had a weekly pivot for this week with the high statistical hit rate that we were looking for to come down to as well. That was also a hit yesterday, right? Which that came in. Let's turn that off for a second. That came in right here. So you can see that was in the same little window between the pivot and the point of control for that range we were just looking at there. So for potential pit stop to the upside, we got the range high here coming in at 1780, which does kind of line up with this previous high over here. So I would imagine if we did actually make our way up to that area, potentially get a little push higher in order to stop out all these traders over here. If we do get the reclaim, then our next target is going to be the yearly pivot. So still really in line with yesterday's analysis. Kind of went in a little bit of a deeper dive yesterday. Today I'm not going to spend too much time on it, just because the analysis is still essentially the same at the moment. Looking for a potential swing failure pattern up in this region of the November high. Otherwise, start losing the weekly pivot in the short term. That's kind of the trigger in my book that we see a potential pullback a little bit deeper here. We do have that weekly pivot, by the way, does come in. I'll just kind of clear this up for you here, right? Zoom it in. A little 15-minute. Right, so I have this marked off here. This was the point of control. That's the level that we just back tested. Did have the weekly pivot here. It is now been tapped. Right, still a very important level for this week as we kind of drive through it here. Daily open, potentially losing it under the daily VWAP as well. So as far as a potential move here, I think we have another little opportunity to see a little swing down here. Scalp idea, right? As long as you're below that daily VWAP there and the daily open, potentially a 1.68 move. Not a bad intraday move there. Otherwise, start losing this weekly pivot here at 1602. And I think we could start seeing, a decent correction to the downside there, right? So did have a little local gold pocket here. Let's see where that lined up with also. Haven't made our way down to it quite yet, right there about 1560. That is also the high time frame range, right? It's also the high here. So I'm going to zoom this out a little bit. Right, so this is our high time frame range that we've been in for quite some time. T-Bone was actually asking me about this yesterday on what the day I pulled it from, and it was May 9th, right? So when we essentially open and closed a new candle outside of the previous range right here. So that's what I was looking at with that. So anybody that's asking. So yeah, looking at a potential back test still around that 1560. That is that little gold pocket as well, right? So from the little local low to local high, see if we get a little bounce from there and actually, challenge up into these regions. That's the move, in my opinion, for the bounce at this time. Otherwise, start losing some of these areas, and especially if we re-enter this range right here, definitely something to be aware of. You can already almost anticipate, some looking at something like that, right? A little head and shoulders action. I'd be more interested in the levels here more than anything. But yeah, to the upside, it's still pretty clear. About 1780 would be the high side area if we don't get an SFP of this region. Otherwise, still targeting overall, over time, up to the yearly pivot, and then start giving up some ground, and we can start anticipating some pullback into these regions here. So the only other thing I wanted to kind of look at again is the previous week data, right? So go ahead and pull that up. And we'll zoom it in a little bit. And you can see that we've really been holding above this previous week range, right? So consolidating at the high here. One of two things, because we're also consolidating right here. It is support at the moment, so something to be aware of. But it's if we break back into this region, previous week point of control, right, which is I think that also aligns pretty well with that little gold pocket, if I remember correctly, give or take. You do have, like I said, the weekly pivot. I'll be looking to see if we lose that. But then we have a couple of shorter term targets along the way down here. Gold pocket comes in that region, previous week point of control. And if we actually make it to the previous week lows here, then once again, be re-entering that higher time frame range, kind of have to reevaluate some things. Otherwise, I mean, you can be looking at this as a potential flag, descending channel, all bullish breakout, continuation ideas there. For me, it's really at the moment, reclaim the daily open. Simple idea, right? And then challenge that up into the high here, potentially a 3% move, and then look to see if we get the claim up here, right? So that would be the idea, stair step it all the way. Then we'd be going level to level. Once again, next major short-term target, if we do clear above this high, would be about 1780, right? And then I'm deriving that from a old quarterly range here. So, and that comes in at the value area high, about 1780. It's a weekly level up there, a couple other areas of confluence. And that's what I'll be looking for. So I hope that this analysis helps you in some form or fashion, and I will be happy to update this again tomorrow. Be sure to tune in for the 10 a.m. Bitcoin update with Magic Internet Money and Max here on Leading Crypto. We come to you live every Monday through Friday with 2 videos a day. So be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy our content. Otherwise, we'll see you all in the next video. Have a great day.